Getting started, though, in Jungle Basin, SiN's interesting choice here.
Yeah, an interesting choice as well, as a lot of players pointed out. Not even in the map pool, but that is okay. We do try and switch it up a little bit. We did lower his sound. Once again, I may lower it a pinch more. I want to make sure everything is A-okay for you guys. And hopefully it should be good now. So we do try to keep it interesting. Jungle Basin was in the map pool for ladder, and it's not anymore. It's one of those maps we kind of left it lingering, and it's not sure if it's actually removed from our tournaments or not. We've been doing a lot of different things as far as our tournament map pool is concerned, and we're considering adding some GSL maps, especially for tomorrow's event, as the Blizzard ladder maps are really pretty disappointing. There's only 2 or 3 maps that are really good, high-quality maps that you're like, all right. This is fair. These players, it's all about who was most prepared, not who's abusing some little map mechanic. In Jungle Basin, to be completely frank, I think it's just a map that players hate. I'm not sure which race this map is favored for or not favored for, or if there is any of that as far as game balances are concerned. And it's just one of those funky maps that a lot of players really don't like. So just going to give a little bit of an overview. Some of you might not be as familiar with Jungle Basin as you'd like to be. It's a map with this landlocked natural early on, which makes this map very conducive for that fast expand. What kind of stinks about this map is that it's hard to keep expanding after that. We see this stuff, these expansions sort of in this middle island and off to the side, and it's very rough for a Zerg player to get that third base up in a timely manner. Zerg players really can't expand nearly as aggressively as they would like, unless their opponent is playing extremely defensively, playing that turtle game, not putting any pressure on. So I'll kind of be curious to see what Destiny decides to do in this matchup, as this might not really be a map that favors his style of play.
Yeah, interestingly, Destiny showing us that 14 hatch, 14 pool strategy that you were just talking about there. I will be interested to see how he plays. I know he plays with this strategy quite a bit, as most Zerg players do, in fact, go for that 14 hatch very, very early. But so far, Destiny has been going for that 14 pool almost reliably. Every game you see them, they're going for that extractor, or taking that extractor down of SiN, limiting those options just a little bit. But either way, SiN going to go ahead and fast expand here, needs to throw it down at that natural. Would like to see that SCV head out just a little bit earlier there and getting a little bit supply up. No, there it goes, the supply depot finishing up there for SiN. So interesting choice there. Just both players going to sit back. We're going to see a little bit more of a macro game.
Yeah, well, and that's what's interesting about Jungle Basin. Is I call it a pseudo macro game. It's a macro game at the very beginning. Players do that super fast expand. Last time we saw a PvT on this map, we were seeing that Nexus first strategy time and time again, and it's weird because you can't keep up that aggressive expansion, and if you do, it almost always backfires if your opponent is remotely aggressive or scouts it. It's just such an odd map, and it is pretty far apart. Rushes really don't work that well, and that's another reason why this map is so conducive to that early expand, because it is so hard to put that early pressure on and make that early pressure effective, and that's really what it comes down to. You can't really do at least a super early push unless you're doing some kind of a proxy type thing, and that's a whole nother ballpark. That just comes down to a scouting issue. So I'm curious to see what these players do. So far, like we said, it's been very even. As some people pointed out, the maps kind of counter each other out. Lost Temple and Scrap Station, one's advantageous for Terran, the other for Zerg. So they kind of cancel each other out. And if SiN ends up winning this match, I'll be curious to see what map Destiny chooses. Probably a Shakuras or something like that. But we'll have to see how this game pans out. We do see Destiny here getting that metabolic boost upgrade. Pretty standard stuff. There it is, about halfway completed. And working on his queen as well, so just continuing to drone up, and obviously not mining any gas at the moment, just sticking with that mineral income. Pretty standard stuff as far as Zerg openers are concerned. We do see that factory on the way for our Terran player, who does have 3 rats down. He is working on that reactor here. So, Janitor, do you think we're going to see the barracks factory swap here, the old switcheroo, and see some of that Hellion action come once again?
That would be an interesting play, but sadly, I I'm not 100. I'm not convinced that we're going to see that. We have a lot of barracks out right now, and that's going to keep the mineral count really low for SiN. I think we're going to see some more tech structures come out of that factory. But at any rate, Destiny has done a very nice job spreading those Zerglings out. If we take a look at the Destiny cam, he really has quite a bit of vision, and he's actually been attacking those destructible rocks quite aggressively. You see them down quite a bit just for those 2 Zerglings. So Destiny doing a good job with the units that he has. You see that spine crawler in the base for defense right now, and it looks like I was wrong. SiN switched that factory for, or switched that barracks and factory, and we're going to be seeing some heavy Hellion play come out right now. See that Tech Lab finishing on 2 of his barracks. Might end up seeing some really early aggression with those Marines. You see STEM and Combat Shield on the way, and this is something that SiN has been doing very, very reliably, just getting a lot of those Marines and upgrading them very, very well, and then putting a lot of early pressure on with them.
Yeah, and pretty much exactly right. I was glancing at stream chat there, and hopefully now we're pretty much on par as far as sound is concerned. I just want to apologize for that one last time, and hopefully we can continue the rest of this event without any sound issues. Like I said, just trying out that different software tonight, and it does take a little while to get those sound levels perfectly where we want them. So thank you guys once again for giving us that feedback and working with us to get that sound just where it needs to be. And I see someone posting a 1 there. I absolutely love it. To complement what Janitor was saying, I completely agree because I just wasn't listening. I can't read and listen at the same time. But very insightful stuff. We do see our Terran player getting those upgrades. I think that's something you mentioned, the Stim, the Combat Shield, all coming out, and I would not be surprised to see that Infernal Pre-Igniter. And there's the Siege Tech. So SiN doing it a little bit differently than I was picturing, but still very promising. Here are these Hellions doing some harassment down here in Destiny's base. Destiny with plenty of queens. I love this play from Destiny to have 3 queens out ready to defend with against these Hellions. Obviously, queens are not light units, so they can do very, very well against these Hellions. You know, in this sort of a situation. So both players in a pretty strong position at this stage in the game. Still very even. Glancing at the Harvester count, both dead even as well. 45 to 47. So both players are in a fantastic economic position. We see our Terran player obviously ahead on that mineral income. Those pesky mules just giving him that little edge that all of us non-Terran players are so not fond of.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people complaining about that, and, you know, I can't really blame them. They're a very, very good unit. But I do want to point out there, Destiny did a very nice job keeping that queen at his ramp, not allowing those Hellions to get up, and that really allowed him some time to just sit back and make sure that he could defend against those Hellions very, very easily. So that queen placement was very, very good, and I've got to give some props to SiN here, doing a nice job scouting around the map, making sure that Destiny doesn't have any hidden expansions up or something like that. You see that the Zerglings still trying to get some vision down, but SiN having nice map control now. He's got those Hellions out, and that has really given him quite a bit of map control, and he'll continue to have it until those mutas pop out for Destiny.
Yeah, exactly. I do find it kind of interesting, actually, that SiN is scouting so well in this game. As you pointed out, making sure his opponent doesn't have expansions, controlling the Xel'Nagas, and in that last match we saw, he really didn't scout that well at all, really didn't move around the map, had limited map control, and just really didn't show this kind of proactive, well, I wonder what Destiny's up to kind of attitude he seems to be showing in this match. And I just find that interesting that he just sort of has this different persona in this matchup. And it's good to see. It's always good to see players learning from their mistakes. Learning might not be the right word, but maybe SiN realized after that last game, man, I had no map vision. I didn't know what he had. I didn't know those Banelings were coming. That's why I didn't spread my units. I need to scout better. And that's sort of what we're seeing here. We may be looking into SiN's actions a bit too much in this particular scenario, but still, that's what's great about a best of 7 series. We do see a bit of engagement here with these Hellions. It looks like Destiny may be able to drop these with the mutas. Those Hellions are just a pinch too fast, but Destiny's in a good spot here. He is taking this expansion pretty aggressively, which is something that players Zerg players can't do well, as we talked about when we are sort of going over the nuances of Jungle Basin early on. And it's nice to see Destiny able to expand, and he's doing a double expand here down at the 8 o'clock, if you will. That is fantastic. Janitor, how are you feeling about this super aggressive expansion from our Zerg player?
Yeah, I actually prefer the 8 o'clock expansion, or Yeah, I guess 8 o'clock expansion from Destiny. It really this expansion that he's taken right here in the middle is going to be a little bit hard to defend, especially because Terran has some siege tanks out. Terran will be able to slow push up and into that base, and it's going to be very hard for Destiny to take that on head on. It looks